Julie's Everything Treasures, and we are on Friday. It's coming to the end of the week. It's been a long week, but it's been a very enjoyable week. I've done lots of different lives, one each day, of different categories of creating. There's been the thrift store haul, which right now, fortunately, I've had people dropping off things to me, so I have boxes of thrift store items, but because the thrift stores have not been open, they've been actually dropping them off to me, so I do that. Thrift store hauls, I've done Trash to Treasure Tuesdays, I do the craft and chat and craft on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays and Fridays, and maybe even Saturdays, depending on the project, I'm doing furniture. And we started this yesterday, and today we're going to be finishing it. Well, hopefully finishing it. I think it's going to go into tomorrow actually. So just to recap, we have 2 suitcases, very different. They are not going to be going together. I originally thought at one point I was going to stack them and do that. It's quite popular these days, but this one being not quite flat on top and a little bit too big to go on top of this one wouldn't go at all. But I am doing them similar because I want to actually display them together. So that's what's happening. So what I'm at is I had put on a first coat of chalk paint, charcoal grey, on both items on the outside all the way around, and I let that dry. We did that on the live yesterday. If you didn't see that, after the live today, pop back onto my page and you can look back on the live yesterday of us preparing this and doing the first coat. Overnight it dried, and then this morning I did 2 coats of white chalk paint, and that's what we're at now. So next we are going to be doing some wet distressing. You've seen me do this before, but we'll be doing that right now, and we will get started. I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to move it a little bit closer to you and move this one back. Don't have a lot of space, but I think that's pretty good. And let's get going. Basically, I have a cloth. Hi Debbie, how are you doing? That is wet. It's just basically, this is an old hand towel that's not being used now, and I just have it in warm water, and I'm just going to be basically rubbing over the white paint and revealing what was underneath. And if you remember on this one, I have a lot of metal underneath on this one, so I want the metal to come through. So I'm going to rub quite hard, and on this particular case, which is metal, I'm going to be distressing it quite a lot. So I'm going to get rubbing away on all the corners and all the detail. If you can see that. So you want to make sure you show all the detail. If there's any screws or anything like that, it's always fun to reveal them. Any blemishes that you have in your paint or in the product underneath, show that. And if you have any corners, just show that a little bit too, to give it some definition. And if you remember on this piece, hi Eli, how are you doing? There was quite a bit of rust on this piece, so I'm hoping that I will reveal some of that too. See where I'm coming from. So basically any of the metal and any of the corners, anywhere that would be any wear and tear, that's what I'm revealing. So especially if you have handles, make sure you rub on the handles, because that's where a lot of the wear and tear would be on any luggage. And once you've used up a part of the rag, move on to another part, or else you're just going to be smudging back on the white paint that's on your rag. Well, if there is a handle, hi Sheila, how are you doing? Hi Denise, thank you Denise, that's really nice of you. Where you would be holding any kind of luggage or anything with a handle, your hand would literally be like this. So your knuckles here would constantly rub on anything. So if you want to show natural wear and tear, where your knuckles here would rub, you want to do some distressing to show that. And along the top here, some interest in the metal because it's quite rustic along here, so I'm going to show that too. I have to move it back a little bit so I can get in here. I usually use warm water doing this and it's a lot better, but my water's gone quite cold, so it's going to hurt my fingers, it's going to hurt my hands, because anything that's cold on my hands with my arthritis, it can hurt a little bit. I'll bring this closer to you so you can see, and I can actually get to it too. So the corners here, as I say, show all the metal interest of the corners. And then in the corners here, you want to just give some definition to the corner. And up here, little definition there. Around the locks, you would have, again, some natural wear and tear where your knuckles have been trying to open up. How's everyone doing? End of the week, has it begun a good week or a hard week? Are you tired? Hi Marsha, how are you doing? Watched Denise's live today, so I guess you must be tired, end of your day, and you did a live with your sister. And I enjoyed that, that was really good, Denise. Keep moving it around, doing all the edges. Find a piece of the cloth that you haven't used. And as I say, just a little definition to the corner is always good. And then, I bet it was. You reminded me, Denise, actually, the two of you remind me of my sister and I, and if we ever did a live together, which probably not, her being in England, I think we'd be very similar, because My sister's very much the business organisation kind of personality. She does have a creative side, but she's more on the business side, and I'm more of the creative squirrel, like I can be. And so I think we'd be very similar to you guys. Alright, I'm not going to do the back. You see what I mean. I'll do the back later. You don't need to watch me do all of it. I am going to do a little bit of the top here because we're going to be working on the top. And rather than bring it down at the moment, I will bring it down when I've done it. Because, as I say, I don't need to show you every little detail of what I'm doing when it's repetitious stuff, because that just gets boring. Doing the corners quickly here, and then you'll be able to see. Almost done. Alright, I'm just going to try and show you the top here. I did wipe it quickly, just there you go. That's what we've got going on for the top here. So I'm going to move this one out the way, and as I say, I'll distress the back and the other side when I'm not on camera, just because you don't need to see me do each one. But I am going to do the other case. So I'm going to move this one out of the way, and I'm going to work on this one. And this one I'm not going to distress it as much. It's not that kind of case. So I'm going to try and distress it a little bit around the handles and that. And I'm hoping not to pull through the blue. The case was originally blue plastic. And I did put the undercoat of charcoal grey. And if I thought about it more, rather than being rushed into it creative side that I am, if I thought about it more, on the grey, once it had dried, I would have maybe put a top coat on and then put the white on, and then distressing back would only go back to the grey rather than showing the blue. So I'm going to try and distress this a little bit, showing some of the grey, but I'm hoping I don't get much of the blue. If I do, I'll go back in and paint those areas later. So let's see what I can do. Just going to grab the second cloth here. I wish I had a sink in this room, but I don't, so I've got a bucket of water and my cloths. So I'm trying to be efficient, but it's the best I can do with the circumstances. Last thing you need me to do is run back to the sink every 2 minutes. So another cloth here. I'll bring this closer so you can see. I'm going to kind of rub around the handle, because that would definitely be an area that would have some distress on it. And there is a little metal on basically the clasps up here, and I want those distressed. But how much I can actually distress the rest, I don't know. As I say, I would like some of the grey to come through, especially on corners and things, because it's a nice texture to do that, but I don't want the blue coming through, so we'll see. It's coming nicely actually. One more bit here. And I think that's good. That's as much as I want to do on this. Again, I'll do the other side when you're not watching, because this is the side we're going to be working on, so it's more important right now. So basically that's the effect, is the grey poking through. So next we are going to be working on, I'm going to keep having to go in front because I actually got all my stuff ready over there, which is crazy, but reaching over to get what I need. So I'm going to just grab, I've got the ink and ink pad. Hopefully you didn't get the greatest shot of my big bum, but that's all right. What I'm using now is the Kind Regards stamp. You've seen me use this many times, and I'm going to use it on here and on the other one. So I'm going to basically be putting it in the middle. And I'm going to maybe try and put this up a little bit here so that you can see. But also it's going to be at a weird angle because I won't be flat doing this. So let's see if I can get it. So that's what I'm going to be doing as best I can, and hopefully making sure I have it up the right way. So how I'm doing this is I'm having it, actually I've distressed the back, I think I need to distress the front, so I'm going to do that while I'm talking to you. I just realised it's the wrong way around, and this is the back and this is the front. So the back with the cloth, there you go, and just do a little bit of that. Just make, oh no, I was right. See, told you, I'm squirrel. I'm doing it Denise, and that's my personality. I thought I had it wrong, but I didn't. I had it right all along. So, what I'm going to be doing is putting the stamp on here, and the reason I'm doing it this way up is originally I thought I was going to have the suitcase, if I can show you, like that. But I'm not. It's not a particularly flat top, so how I'm actually going to display this case in my store is going to be like this. So the picture and the what I put on here is going to be this way. But think about what you're actually doing with your suitcase, because you want to know which way up you want to put things. So that's kind of the way we are with that. So I'm just going to, you've seen me do this before many times, so I'm just going to put some ink on the stamp and then the best I can push it onto here and go from there. Hopefully, I've got the grey ink, stone grey or something like that it's called, I don't remember. I never remember, do I? This is the grey is the one I use whenever I'm doing anything background. If I want something to be more foreground, I'll use a black or a blue. But when I want anything to be just looking like it's faded in the background, I always use the grey. Alright, I think I've got it going good. I'm going to put the lid on my pad so it doesn't dry out on me. And I'm going to do the best I can to put it up the right way in the middle without shifting, trying to show you what I'm doing here, and at the same time do it at a weird angle. So fingers crossed I don't shift. I'm at the weirdest angle ever on this, but if I move, I feel like I'm going to shift it, so I'm just going to have to do it slowly and just do the best I can, rubbing everywhere. All the detail. It's always hard when you're doing this particular stamp because it's letters, you've got a lot of detail to make sure you put on. And I'm going to lift it up. And that's not bad, considering, as I say, it's not a flat surface. It's got a lot of ridges. But there we go. Can you see that? It's not the greatest light, but that's the background of what we've got going on here. And I'm going to do the same to the top of the other one. So move that there, and I'm just going to, if I can, it's hard doing two cases at the same time, but when they're having the same thing done to them, you just well do it at the same time. So, there. All right, so I'm going to ink it up again. And I also, did I bring out, I think I have it somewhere, I'll have a look in a minute. I just need a cloth because the pattern on the top of this actual case has got a crisscross of metal, and I want the words to be looking like it's underneath it. So while it's still wet, the ink, I'm going to wipe back off on that particular metal. So that's what we're doing. Did you just see the back of my head there? Do I have a lot of grey back there? Okay, I'm going to position this on top here. And just push down. It's a lot easier when you're pushing flat than when I was doing that one. But I will show you this in a minute. It's just a little awkward to have it on an angle the way it is. So I'm just pushing down everywhere. Pull it back up. And while it's still wet, I'm just going to wipe off where I don't want it to be. I will try and push this forward so you can see. Can you see that? That's what we've got going on. Yeah, me too. I love that. I use that stamp quite a bit, especially just for interest in the background. I love that one. So what I'm going to do is do some decoupage next. So what I'm going to try and attempt is to get, I have this napkin, it's my favourite. So I'm going to just pull that apart if I can. I can see the ends actually creeping already, so I might be able to get it without even having to do much. There you go. That's the first layer is off. And if you've seen my lives before, don't throw this out because you can use the stamps and make your own napkins and use that. And I'm just gonna get the second layer, didn't even have to wet it, and pull that apart. So with these, I'm going to cut it out with the water like I usually do, but I'm going to literally is put one in this corner and then one in this bottom opposite corner on this one, and then on this one I think I'm just going to, I'm not sure, I might just put a little bit on one part here, just one. So we'll see. This one I want more rustic, so I want less flowers on this one. All right, Denise, have a good evening. So I need to get my moppage and my brush and a bag. Sorry, I'm right in your way again, but it's a little awkward. So you've seen me decoupage many times. I'm just going to use some water to trace around the area that I want, okay? So that's what I'm doing first. And just use a little brush, dip it in the water, and then just trace around the actual area that you want. This gives it a, rather than a cut line, which will be too sharp for anything you want to do with a napkin, this gives it more of just a natural rip. Like we have done here, and I'm just going to go along here too so that it's not a rigid line, and do that. So just along the top. Just rip along where the water was, and it comes away quite nicely. So I'm going to put this back up on here. And we are going to put this one here, up here. So I have my bag ready, and I have my brush ready, and my Mod Podge ready. If you don't know what Mod Podge is, there you go. It's just the sealer I use when I decoupage. Just put it onto the area that you want it to go on, quite lightly, but just making sure you get everywhere. And then make sure I got it the right way. I'm going to be doing it this way, I think, coming just around the corner, the top. Lightly put it on, use your bag rather than your fingers to press it down, so that your fingers would just rip it with the glue. You can just push it on. This is quite a textured material I've got underneath, so I'm just going to make sure it gets on there nicely. And then pull it off, and there you have this first one, and I'm going to do another one down the bottom, so I'm just going to try and move you at an angle that maybe you can see. I don't know, you won't be able to see it, so I'll do the one on the bottom. So I need the water first to put it out. I'm always picking projects that's hard to do, that's kind of awkward to do on lives, but that's okay. As long as you're not seeing the back of my head or different areas of me too much. I'm using my big bucket here of water just for a little tiny bit of water, but that's okay. To do along a flat line, because I don't want it so rigid, just pull it off. And also I got a little bit of a peak up here, so I'm just going to take that little peak off. And I think this one we're going to just do that way up. So, need my bag. And my brush. And do this zip here. I did actually find an idea of doing on the inside of the other trunk. So I'm getting the stuff together of what my idea is, and I will probably be doing that next week. It's kind of, I dreamt it, it came to me in the night, so we'll see. Just lightly put it on and then use the bag that's not got glue on just to press it down. And what I will do afterwards is seal it properly. There you go for the bottom one. And I will do the same again on the other one afterwards. So I'm just going to clean up the Mod Podge because it's quite a big tub of it. And I think we will carry on with this one. So what I want to do next with this one is do some clay on it. I'm going to do a corner here and a corner here with some clay. So I'm moving this out the way and just move this a minute and just grab my clay. And let's see if I can find a good way of showing you how to do this, okay? So I have the molds, the IOD molds, and I think I'm going to use this one up here. And I've got the IOD air dry clay, and I'm going to see if I can use actually move this over here and try and use this just so I table, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So what I need is to open up. This is a brand new, I just literally got this today, so I'm going to open it up. And then put in, I got some cornstarch. I'm going to put some of this into the mould so that the clay can go into all the details but not stick too firmly that I can't get it back out. So putting it in and then dust it out. You don't want it too thick in there, else you won't get any detail. And then I'm going to grab some of this clay. I didn't bring a bag for after when I'm finished with it, so I'll have to make sure I have something to seal it in later. And I'm just going to press this into the area I want. So put it in. Now, a lot of people say to me, how do you get it not to crack? The main way I have found to not crack when it dries is to make sure you've got way more clay than you need when you're putting it in the mould. You can pull off what you don't need, but if you don't quite have enough and you're pulling it along to try and fit it into the mould, that's where it'll crack. So too much is better. I got way too much here. Stop. There. Too much is better than not enough. For the reason, as I say, if you're just pushing it in place, is better than if you're pulling it in place. Because that's the areas that will crack. And if you've got it just perfect, it should come out nicely. Put that back in. And you're just going to literally put it upside down and hopefully it comes out nicely. So let's see if we can get it going, get it started. Oh, it's not coming out the greatest, this one. I guess I didn't put enough in. Oh, it's just got these end pieces here. Get them going. I don't want it to break. Don't break on me. There, got it. Just gonna press it down because it's kind of got all out of shape. So I was thinking of putting it up here, but I might actually, I think I might put it here. So I'm going to show you that. Move this out again. And I've got to get something to clear that. So basically on this is what I'm going to do is stick it on, show you how we put it on, and then I'll have to put it right way up because I want it to dry, I don't want it to slip. So I'm going to get my glue, which is way over here. What I'm using is the Carpenter's wood glue. I don't think it's the best, but it's what I've got. I will be getting some Gorilla Glue later on when I finish this, but for now this will do. So I'm going to, on my hand here, just put the mould, the clay flat, and then get some of this glue out. You want to cover everywhere, but not too much because you don't want it glooping everywhere. And just with your finger, just rub it in to all the surface of the clay. And then I'm going to put it up here, I think. Now, it'll stay in place. I hope it doesn't slide on me while I do the other side. But I will put it flat and let it just dry overnight. And then tomorrow we'll paint that up. So let's do the one down but the below there. Doing the same thing, we need some cornstarch in the mould. Getting into all the cracks, in all the crevices, and then a little bit of the clay. And going to push that, I'll just do it over here on top here, push it into the mould. As I say, if you put way too much in, it's way better than not having enough in, because you can always pull away what you don't need. But if you're trying to reach it into the crevices of the mould, not quite having enough, that's what you're going to be pulling at to make it fit, and that will crack while it dries because it's got tension. I do these moulds all the time, they come out wonderful, love them, and then when you do it live, you find it hard to do, don't you find? Okay. Put this over here, and then try and get this one out the best I can. I need to make sure I get those end pieces first, because those are the hard parts to get out. And then the top. That one came out better. Just got a few extra strands of clay that I certainly don't need. And then I'm going to put it in my hand, and I'm going to be putting it down the bottom here, which I will show you after. Let's say just glue on everywhere. I use my fingers. And I'm going to put it at the bottom here, in the corner. Just pressing it in place, and then I will show you what I have going on. Alright, my hands are sticky and everything on them. Hold on just a minute. So this is what I have. Just going to push that in a bit. Pushing it down. And when it's dry, I will paint them white. And that's what we've got going on here. So this one is at the point of what I can do so far. We will be finishing it tomorrow, so I'll be painting the clay because it'll be dry, and I will be waxing it too for an old antique look, and we will also be putting a transfer on, but first, before I put the transfer on, I will have to put on a clear coat so that the transfer adheres to that. So that one is at the stage where we will finish it tomorrow. And this one we need to just put on it, I think in this corner here, I'm going to put on the decoupage. So where did I put that? Oh, there it is, behind me. So I'm going to use my little brush to cut it out where I need it to be. As I say, I don't want this one too like girly flowers, so I'm just going to put one, I think, on this one. So, as I say, I want them to be kind of a set, matching, but they don't have to be bought together when they're ready to be sold. They can be sold separately. And then the straight edge, I'm just going to do the same thing here. So I need to reopen the Mod Podge. I need my brush and I need my bag. And the bag I'm just going to put inside out so to make sure I don't have any glue already on it. So I'm going to just put a little bit of the glue here where I want this to be. And I'll show you after when I've got it gone properly. Just put it in place, and I want it to just wrap slightly over the edge. And I push it down and just make sure it's sticking nicely. Get it coming down nicely there, and if I can hold this to show you, there we go. That's what we've got going on so far. So I will be finishing this tomorrow and doing some of it tonight too to get it at the right part. I won't be putting a mould on this one, but I'll be putting a lot of wax on this one to distress it. I've got to do more distressing on it, and I will be putting a transfer on both of them tomorrow, and I'll be painting up the moulding on the other one. So that's what we're at right now. We've been doing it for almost 50 minutes, so I think that's a good stage to be at. There's so many things. We've got the paint, we've got the wet distress, we've got the stamping, we've got the clay moulds, we've got the decoupage, we've got the transfers. Everything is pretty much going on these pieces. So it's kind of trying to remember, trying to get it in place and how I want it to be. So that's kind of, it's going to take time, but I think we'll get there tomorrow. I think we'll finish it up. So come back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And thank you, Marsh. That's really nice. And if you can tell your friends, that would be great. And we will get this done tomorrow. And Saturday, the weekend, we'll get it finished up and hopefully you'll be able to see it done. And thanks for watching. I'm Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night and be safe.